Welcome to another guy's garage. We're back in the garage today working on my 1971 Chevelle. That's right, today is the day. We are going to fire this sucker up, but we've got a lot to do. We've got to add fluids. We got to put the accessory drives on. We got to get the Holley Terminator X all programmed and ready to run. Stay with me. Today, we're getting it done. All right, so I thought I'd start off with something fun. Yeah, I said it, something fun. So some of you may recognize this as the inside of the car. I know we haven't spent a lot of time here. We spend most of our time either outside, I would say a lot of our time underneath this stupid thing. But we are inside the car because I want to do something that's motivating, something that will boost my spirits, get me going. All in all, what I think is the best part of what this car will be when it's back on the road, and that is getting the shifter back in here. I have here an open hole. Let's get into it. Super easy. These Tremex have a couple different positions. It came from Silver Sport transmission in the position where the original would have been for a 1971 Chevelle that was a sport four-speed car. I may want to move it back a little bit because when I had the stick up, I have a longer throw arm. The stick was kind of close to the dash, so we'll have to see about that. And then I also have a tunnel hump. We'll have to verify that that's still going to work in the position that it's in. So without further ado, me yammering, let's get to it. Things first, I just had a piece of tape which left some goo where the gasket's going to go, so I'll have to clean that off. Guys, be careful you don't cut yourself on it. It's like really sharp. So you can see there's two ball locations. This is the bottom of the shifter. You see that? This is the bottom of the shifter, so you can have it location 1, which is forward, location 2 that was back. I think it was forward when I got it, so it was in there. But let's go ahead and get it cleaned up so we can get this in. I'm going to try this in the back position. What kind of grease that is, but it's like pretty good stuff. We'll get some bolts and screw these down, but first I want to test fit the hump. Keep in mind, this giant hole that you see was cut out for my Muncie M21, which is why there's all this open real estate here. That Hearst shifting mechanism actually poked through the floor a little bit. Let's go ahead and stick a couple bolts in it. See how we like it. All right, I'm sure there's a torque spec on these. We'll look it up and we'll torque it down. Let's put this arm back on. So I like the nostalgia look of the Hearst shifter, but we all know it's not. We'll be swapping that out for a little aluminum arm, which may be the shorter arm. That's what it's meant for. So it's just a really short arm will be down here as opposed to up here. We'll see. Oh yeah. Are you getting this? Are you seeing this? Yeah, let's do that one more time. Ready? It's up here. Look at all the room I have. Oh yeah. That feels better. I'm not going to grind it through all the gears, but that feels pretty good. Just like that. Sweet. That's where it's living. Guys, that's the beauty of this hobby. Yeah, the original transmission position would have been forward, and that's how it came from Silver Sport, because that's how they set it up, more of a factory position. But you know what? I like it back here. It feels more comfortable back here. And I don't know, maybe my engine is just a little bit forward, more forward than other people's engines. But anyways, I like it here. This is where it's going to live. Let's go ahead and torque these down, and we'll call this good. All right. To me, this is the crown jewel. I'm a big fan of the plain white shift knob. Gosh, you know, it's kind of high. I wonder if it feels a little truckish. I wonder if I might look for a shorter arm, maybe get me down here a little bit. Either way, I still think I'm going to want it in this back position. But leave me your thoughts. In high school, I was more of a T-handle guy. In fact, I bought a T-handle before I even had a 4-speed transmission, just because I really like that look. I think the Mopars with the pistol grip are awesome, absolutely badass in my opinion. But I'm a fan of the plain white knob. Go ahead and leave a comment. You like the white shift knob? Do you like the T-handle? Do you like a skull, something weird, an 8-ball? I don't know. But leave me a comment and tell me what your favorite shift knob is or what you're running on your rig. So go ahead, leave a comment. I'd appreciate it. All right, well, I got you in here. I thought I'd show you how close everything fits. Well, it's kind of jiggly, but it just fits in the tunnel. But that's the beauty of the TKX, is that no hump modifications needed. And again, I got this ginormous hole from the Muncie that I was running before this, but you can see everything just fits in there. Nice. Oh, and all this TKX is pretty sweet, we'll admit. And that's not just because I paid a fortune for it. All right, so I am going to try to put the tunnel hump back in the stock location. I say the stock location is where it fit nice on the floor. This is just who is this? Luddy Chevelle, and it's the Luddy Chevelle warehouse, and it is the 68 to 72 Chevelle 7072 Monte Carlo shift hump console. So anyways, bought this some years ago. I had put it in kind of half-heartedly, not permanent, and it's never been permanent. But anyways, long story short, I'm going to rest it against the back of the shifter. I'm going to try and get this hole to line up with this hole that's already in the floor. This hole, and there's a hole up here. So I'm going to go ahead and make changes to this. So let's go ahead and mark. Oops, my finger out there. Mark. I'm going to need about an inch out of this. So you can see by my cuts, I'm not afraid to cut some metal. So let's go ahead and take this out with a body saw and get this fit in there. Sweet. Looks good. I'm going to call that done. Got myself a little bit of room so that transmission could shake a little bit without hitting the floor. So it's probably going to rock that way a little bit as the engine torques over. But yeah, we're going to call that good. Hey guys, we're in the garage today watching a little 1320 video of Sick Week. But hey, we don't have time for that. We've got work to do. Let's get to it. All right, so this Tremec is going to get 2.8 quarts, if I remember right. 2.8 quarts of this. This is automatic transmission fluid. Now, I know what you're asking, like, but it's a stick shift. Why are you putting ATF in it? I don't know. I'll be honest with you. That's what Tremec recommends for break-in. So they recommend ATF for break-in. And then actually, Silver Sport guy sent me this, and they sent me the fluid. So after 500 miles, there's another fluid that you put in it. I'll grab a bottle of it and show you. But after 500 miles, you put that in it. But this is the break-in fluid, this ATF. And they said just run the cheap stuff because after 500 miles, you're going to be changing it. So this is what the guys from Silver Sports sent. So this is what I'm putting in it because this would have been compliant with my warranty, which I don't have anymore because it's been over 2 years. So anyways, let's get into the car and put some of this in it. I got one of these pumps. You guys don't have one of these. This goes right onto the bottle, and it makes pouring these in way easier. Drain, fill, drain, fill, drain, drain, fill, drain, drain, fill, drain. You should probably make sure this is tight. Oh, and it is. I wonder what the torque spec is on this. So those of you who remember the last video, this is my favorite. Why? Reverse, forward, reverse, forward. And guess what? Quick change. Oh, when do you need that, Tom? I don't know. Maybe when you're tightening the drain plug and then you go to the fill plug. You got to switch it over. That's tightened, that's loose. Oh, so tight. That's the chasm. That's where all the magic happens, folks. I can show you what's in there, but that would let out all the secrets. So you just have to watch from back here. Like I said, I got my pump apparatus. You're basically going to put this tube in here, and we're going to pump it up. There we go. Pump it up. Pump up the jam. Pump it up. Wow, this is really sticky. Pump it. Oh, you mother. Well, you gotta be so messy. Have I mentioned lately how much I would like to have a lift? This pump's like a teaspoon per stroke. So it's about 4 hours later, and I'm getting quite the workout. Oh, you silly goose, as Michael would say. And if you got any old cookware from your mother's house, it works as a great catch pan. Where's all this fluid going? All right, now we're full. See it coming out? Now it's just pouring out. So we are full. That's how you know. I bought a cheap starter from Amazon because I thought 5-speed, if my starter goes bad, I just, push it real good. and it'll start, you know. So there was a pretty healthy debate online as to what the torque spec on these starter bolts was going to be. I'm landing on 37 foot-pounds. That seems right to me. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to underdo it. I don't want to break the starter. I don't want to strip bolts. Oh, we're there. Guys, I want to show you something about this Holley oil pan. So this is full driver. I know it's up in the air. But this is full driver. And this is where these things usually touch. And you can see I have room, plenty of room, under that oil pan to the steering linkage. I'll turn it all the way passenger, and you can see there too. Now we're all the way passenger. Let's take a look. Get you down in here. Sorry, it's a jittery video. If you can see that or not, but we have daylight. Even that grease zerk is not going to be in the way. I will keep an eye on that because, God, I would not want that to poke a hole in my oil pan. There we go. Yeah, I just want to show you that oil pan is well designed. Kudos to Holley for making a good A-body oil pan for these LS conversions. Right on. All right, guys, next goes the headers. Throw the headers on. Requires a little bit of anti-seize. This is a stainless steel bolt into an aluminum head. So throw a little bit of anti-seize. Takes just a little bit. Does not take much. I've seen so many people put so much of this on there. Just a little bit. That's even too much. I'm trying to figure out, I couldn't find anything online, which side goes head side and which side goes header side. I found a couple places where it said smooth goes to the head and the raise goes to the header. So I'm going to try them that way. I'm going to put the smooth side against the head and the beveled side against the header. So if you guys think they should go on differently, let me know in the comments. One way to find out, they'll either seal or they won't. They're not labeled with an up or top or front or back, nothing. I do believe that these cutouts are for the spark plug holes, which would tell me that this side needs to go down, which means this side needs to go in. So we're going to give this a shot, and if it works, great. If they don't seal, then we'll take them off and fix them. All right, just give you a close look. These are Speed Engineering headers. And I want to show you how nicely they fit. You can see just in there, there's a gap. It's tight, but it's nice. These are from Speed Engineering, polished stainless steel headers. Super happy with them. They were super cheap. They fit really nice, and I got a buddy Bill who's used them on a couple projects, and he's been really happy with them, and he recommended these for my project, and boy, they look great. Yeah, I said great. They look great. All right, so the passenger side isn't as hard as the driver's side. Passenger side was a breeze, if you will. So the driver's side header needs to come in from the bottom, and there's a formula, guys, that I may or may not remember. When I say formula, I mean, oh my gosh, so fat. A certain way that this header will slide right up in there, and a certain way that it will not. So let's see if we can't. Have I mentioned in this video yet how much I wish I had a lift? We're gonna try and sneak it right on up in there. Oh, look at that. While it's still up in the air, let's bring this, an O2 sensor. O2 sensor. In the header somewhere is a wrench that I brought. Oh, there it is. Click, 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 torqued. So the O2 sensor sits in the header. In the top, just past the collector, it's probably reading mostly that one cylinder, but in the top so it doesn't get moisture on it. And it, yeah, it does O2 things. I wasn't planning on it, but since we're under the car, might as well put the exhaust on. So I ordered new wiring for my NOx sensors, straight from Amazon. I don't know, the reviews were good. So it's basically just a new wiring harness.
you know, made in. So we'll see. Let's clip these in. Should be super simple. Squeeze these in here, and they should clip right on. We'll see. Alrighty, so these clip on, the ones I bought, I think these are Felpro. These clip on, and you can see there's a spot, the hardware to go through, and these actually have a clip on either end. The factory, just like the factory, as well as here. I think they're symmetrical. Yeah, they're symmetrical. There's one side all clipped in, just that easy.
All right, let's put this intake on there. It's been sitting in the trunk of this car, so hopefully, I've heard about these from my buddy Jason, these warping. Let's hope that this didn't warp sitting in the back of the car. Oops, that's a lid. For the last, year. My buddy Jason says you can warp these. I'm going to just snug it down because I'm just setting it on the engine. When we go to tighten it, we better make sure that we torque them in the right sequence. All right, guys, let's get this water pump on the front of the engine. And hey, I bought an AC Delco, just because. But something I noticed, and again, this car had no miles on it. Look at how rusty that fitting is already. It just goes to show you how corrosive antifreeze or engine coolant is. And I use the green stuff. Anyways, let's get this on. So it looks like we're making progress. Got a couple bolts. Oh, you son of a... What people are doing that have fun hobbies are doing today. Let's take another run at putting this water pump in there. Let everything falling out on a guy. Fighting with it. There's 6 bolts. Let's get all 6 in. We'll tighten off by hand. Guys, there's a torque spec on these water pump bolts. I'm going to snug them all first, but it goes 11 foot-pounds first pass, and then 22 foot-pounds second pass. Let's get them snugged. 11, verify. 11. Everybody's happy. Let's take her up to 22. 1, 2, 22, 22, 22. All right, let's get the accessories on. I do want to point out, I have this adapter that adapts basically this metric or this LS power steering pump to my standard line that connects to the power steering box on the on my 1971 Chevelle. I actually got this. I saw a video on Ugly Truck Experience. If you haven't seen their YouTube channel, I would check it out. They've got a lot of good LS stuff on there. But now I'm installing my ICT Billet accessory bracket. If you're interested in the part number, I will put it in the description. If I don't drop it here, I'm trying to cheat and put it on as one piece. Wish me luck. Looks like I'm at least hanging off the head a little bit. This is the way to go. Put this on as a unit. Now granted, I've already had this on and off already, so I'm cheating getting it on, but I'm real happy with the bracket. It seems a little janky because of all the parts, but it has worked out pretty well. Once it's tight, she's on there. So here. Just gonna loosely put everything in here right now. Then we'll snug everything down. I only put this plug in here so it wouldn't throw fluid. Those of you who made fun of me for my bag trick, this is all the fluid that would have ended up on the floor of my garage. So make fun all you want. Remember to tighten that. I don't want to forget. Well, I'll know right away because it'll all over the place. All right, I'm consulting with my my binder. I think we talked about this a couple of videos ago. I looked this up last time, 35 to 37 foot-pounds, or wrote it in a couple of places. Again, this is ICT Billet. That's the part number, 551747, if you guys are interested. Puts the alternator up high, which you may or may not have room for. I apologize, the race is going on in the background. Which puts the alternator up high, but on my Chevelle, I've got plenty of room, so that's not a concern. So let's go ahead and tighten those brackets down to 35 to 37 foot-pounds, and then we'll get the alternator installed, and we'll keep plugging away. 11/16. Snugger down. Tight. All right, we'll leave this like this for now, but we might zip tie it or change this or bend a different line. This is the low pressure return side. Not overly worried about it. I just want it to not leak. All right, for an alternator, I'm going with this remanufactured unit. It's this part number. And I think this is a 200 amp. It's probably overkill for what I'm using it for, but thought I'd go with the AC Delco. Huh. Brand new out of the box. You see it? Should I worry about it? Leave me a note in the comments. It's either not pressed on there perfectly straight, or it's just a little bit warped in here. I don't, bent maybe? I don't know. Feels like the bearings are tight. I guess we'll find out. All right, I got the correct routing. Now it's a matter of moving the belt tensioner down. There we go. A little bit of play. It is a belt tensioner, so it needs to be tight. It is going to stretch when it gets warm. It's pretty cold right now, but yeah, that's what a belt tensioner is supposed to do. So all good. She's on there. Let's not forget about heat. Give ourselves a heat hose on that rusty nipple again. This is fine. I like to install these so you can't see the worm gear. So I am going to make it hard on myself if these ever come off. Install this. Actually, I'm going to do it like this so you can't see it. You can still kind of get to it from underneath the car. Tightening with my fingertips. Just has to be snug. Same thing. Right. Tight. Needs a radiator. There it is. Just like she came out. Just gotta clamp it down. This is the moment. I wish I would have brought the bolts over, because I could just clamp her on down. I did make a bracket. I'm gonna use this piece. There we go. Stay. Found them. They were in this bag marked radiator bolts. Yep. That just happened. Made this bracket. This came with actually Michael's car, and I confiscated it. He used to have a chrome cover, but I feel like the chrome is kind of dated. I kind of like just the stock appearance. So, oh my God, if I drop that one more time, I'm going to go nuts. I'm going to finger tighten these right now. All that good. I know the parts I keep dropping. So they all need a radiator hose. This, I wanted to show you, actually has an adapter. It goes from the smaller hose size, from the LS motor, to the larger hose size that was stock on the 1971 Chevelle. That's a 1971 Chevelle big block radiator. It's got extra cooling capacity. So I wanted to stick with it, and it was, I'll be honest with you, it was only about 2 years old. Now 3, but so I put this adapter in there. It's basically small hose, big holes, and you need this bung, and it's basically for the steam line. And the purpose for the steam line, unless I'm mistaken, is to let air out of the motor. So it's a necessary component. I don't have a fancy one or anything special that connects the front to the back. I just have the stock one, which are basically plugs in the back and then a crossover in the front. It gets the air out of the head. So I'm going to reattach everything. It actually attaches underneath the throttle body, which in hindsight, I could have bypassed that because I don't want all that warm fluid going through the throttle body. But you know what? For right now, it's fine. But in the future, I'm probably going to take this line and then just connect it right to the other end of the steam line. But this adapter is a pretty trick piece. I'll look for the number if I can find it. I think it was an Amazon piece, but LS Motors, this is a, either that or is an ICT billet. I'll have to look, but it's a pretty common adapter. Oh, and one thing I wish I wouldn't have done is put this in the middle. I thought split the hoses, and I bought random hoses that had the bends I thought I needed and then cut them. But what I wish I wouldn't have done is put it in the middle because it hits my intake, which I will show you when we get that far. For now, and you need to put something over these bolts, but you get the idea. Today we're installing this intake manifold, but there's an order. Come on, guys. This isn't a back to front, front to back situation. You're not wiping yourself here. You're putting on an intake. This is a highly precision piece of plastic that's probably worked because it's been sitting in the trunk of this car for the last year. You don't just willy-nilly tighten it down. There's an order, and you got to be gentle. The first pass is a little lighter than the second pass. Then you clamp it down to 89 inch-pounds. I'm going to walk you through it. So there's a sequence, and this is it. And it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Did you get that? Probably not. So I'll slow it down. Oh, and you're supposed to use Loctite 242 on these. That's the blue, medium strength. I'm not doing that. Those of you that watch my videos know that sometimes my stuff has to come back apart. Almost immediately, pretty much always. Anyways, in preparation for it needed to come back apart, I'm just going to tighten them down. I'm not going to put the Loctite on, but you should put the Loctite on. 242, it's blue. Blue, you're my boy! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Remember, first pass 44 inch-pounds, second pass 89 inch-pounds. That's all there is to it.
All right, guys, so I have everything hooked up, including the fuel rail installed. I don't have the bolts in it. I'm going to pop it up when I turn the key and verify that it's not leaking. Anybody who's seen my last video knows that that was a big issue for me, stuck injectors. I know I tested all the injectors, but I cannot be too certain. So I'm going to yank that when we get the key on and we pressurize the system. But for now, it's a Holley system. It's basically plug and play, so I'm going to walk you through it.
All right, so mounting the ECU, I'm going to show you where I decided to put it. And I actually got this. I was at the Good Guys car show in Columbus, and I saw a guy do this. So I got a gland coming in the firewall. I ran my wires up and over, but the ECU is right there. It's actually mounted with Velcro. You can see right there, or hook and loop fastener, whatever you want to call it. But it's pretty trick. I got this idea off of a Chevelle that I saw at Good Guys. And this way I can see the lights, it's mounted, and if I need to remove it, I can remove it because, again, it's just on there with hook and loop fastener. So ECU is mounted. Yeah, you can see there I've got everything mounted through a grommet, single grommet going through the firewall, going right to that ECU. All right, let's start with number 1, sensor connections and outputs, oil pressure sensor. That's in the back of the block. Our oil pressure sensor is back here, and it is plugged in. Next is the coolant temperature sensor up here in the front of the block.
Now, the great thing Holley did is everything is labeled. Coolant temperature sensor is right here, CTS, so we got to mount that. We got to clip that in. That's the coolant sensor. That's the temperature sensor. So we'll get that plugged in. I'll do a little routing of the wires here, clean things up. Installed. I've decided to route my cables underneath. That's another reason to leave the fuel rail loose. Underneath the fuel rail to kind of tuck it in there, so it's not a globby mess. I could have run them, I guess, over here over the fuel rail. I don't know, we'll see. I like it neater if it's under. The O2 sensor goes down to the header. It's actually connected here. It's the wideband. If I get it spun around here. Well, take my word for it, but it's the wideband O2 sensor. I've got it over here. It's a ton of cord, so I kind of tucked it in there for now. I'll tidy it up later. Fuel pressure on the fuel rail, we actually don't have that. That's something I want to add later, but I don't have provisions for it, so we're going to ignore it. Next is the manifold air temperature, the MAT sensor. It's over here. There's the manifold air temperature that actually goes into the charge pipe going into the intake. I have a bung right here that I put in the first time. I don't know if you can see, but the cam sensor's back there. You can see just the tip of it right here. It's in the back of the block. This is the cam sensor. It's gonna get plugged in right here. Hopefully get a good click out of it. Cam sensor's in. Next is a crank sensor. That's down by the starter. We've already done that. I'm going to show you here. Knock sensors. It's up at the top here. We'll get it plugged in. Knock sensor right here. Map sensor. Next. This says map. Make sure it goes, I believe, right here. All right, next is throttle position sensor, the TPS, and idle air control. We don't have either of those. It's because they are not used with drive-by-wire throttle bodies, and we have a drive-by-wire throttle body. Next, we've got this fuel injector harness. We've got the even side over here, odd side over there, and it plugs in. Let's get it down here. Routed semi-decently. All right, wires on the odd side are routed. Let's get the even side routed here. There we go. All right, we plugged in the main wiring harness for the fuel injectors. Now it's a matter of plugging in the fuel injectors, and they're all labeled. So that's cylinder number 3. Here's number 1. This is number 5, and this should be 4. All right, next to the ignition coils, this wire right here. This is odd. This is even. Ground wires are next. Those are already done. Then the handheld connection. I actually have the computer connection, but the handheld gets plugged in inside. All right, this one's in a 0.1. This is our drive-by-wire system. This was an extra. I think this was part of the Max system. But do not cut, modify, or change this. But this goes right into the throttle body right here. That gets safety clipped in there. That's an important one because we do not want it coming loose. These 3 I'm tucking away for now. Again, this was the fuel pressure, which we don't have. We're not equipped. The throttle position sensor and the IAC, which is the idle air control. None of these get used with the drive-by-wire system. So for now, I'm just going to tuck them over here out of the way. And then we'll worry about tightening those up at some later point or cutting them. Probably cut them too. So. And then I know I've got this battery cable, which at some point this will plug into my alternator here. Get stuff crisscrossing all over the place. All right, guys, here we are. We're in the final moments of getting this thing started. But some of you are asking, why is there a block of wood underneath that fuel rail? What is that doing there? Those of you who have not watched all my videos, I encourage you to go back and watch the first one where I show you how I destroyed a perfectly good low mileage LS because I didn't do this. This is what I call the Bill method. This is the Bill method so Tom doesn't mess up another engine. This is the Bill method that tells Tom that he doesn't have stuck injectors and we're not going to fill a cylinder full of gas and hydrolock and shove a rod through the side of the block on this motor. So basically what I've done, I have the fuel rail elevated with a block of wood. I'm going to cycle the key. I'm going to listen for the fuel pump to cycle, build pressure, and what should happen is nothing. I'm going to have you guys watch, but what should happen is nothing. I should hear the fuel pump run, should build pressure to stop running, and nothing should be dripping from these injectors. What I had last time were 3 injectors, 2 that were just puking fuel, 1 that was kind of dripping fuel, but it destroyed a motor. It basically filled the cylinder full of gas. I cranked it over, piston had nowhere to go, liquids don't compress. Weak link in the system was the rod, broke the rod, shoved it through the side of the block. That motor was toast. Big bummer. Anyways, here we are. The Bill method. Stay and watch. All right, I got you in here nice and tight. You can see all the injectors, both the odd side and the even side, driver side, passenger side. I said that backwards. Driver side odd, passenger side even. But now you can see the injectors. I'm going to cycle the key. And again, what should happen is nothing. So I'm going to get in the car. I'm going to cycle the key, and you should see 0 happening up here. No fuel, no leakage, no drips, no nothing. I'm not going to start it. I'm just going to cycle it. Fuel pump's nice and loud. Fuel pump pressurized. I basically see nothing coming out of the injectors.
both sides, no drips. It would appear that we are in business. Let's get this fuel rail back installed, and then we can start setting up the Holley. All right, I have my instructions here. I have my handheld here. I got the little stylus. Trust me, this makes punching the buttons a lot easier. I'm in neutral. Got the garage door open, so I'm set myself on fire. Turn the ignition key to the run. Should probably power on the ECU as well as the Terminator X handheld. Control module and handheld should power up, and the home screen should appear. Do not attempt to start the vehicle. The fuel pump again. RPM small, TPS. So the Terminator X system will build a custom calibration for your engine based on a few easy to answer questions. To begin, choose Wizard's icon. So we're going to choose the Wizards, which is this one. Choose the GCF Wizard, which is this one. My heater's kicking on. So choose the MPFI multi-port fuel injection as the system type. Next, choose the number of cylinders. Well, system type is the GMLS. Next, number of cylinders is already in there. It's 8. Next, this is the firing order. All LS engines are 187-26543. Next, engine displacement, metric. Next, and I am 6 liter. Let's bring it over to 6.3, use the arrow. 6.0. Next. Choose the unit of measure you'd like to use for the engine size. Oh, this is backwards. Use your engine size, 6.0. Use the sidebar set desired hot idle speed. It says 700. Let's go 750. Selection that matches cam specs. Next. All right, map sensor. I have a stock map sensor. I'm going to put this one. Next, drive-by-wire. Yes. Transmission control. No. All right, it's uploading. Looks like it's doing its thing. Cycle the ignition to complete the operation. Okay. I think I do need to do TPS auto set. So after completing calibration, Wizard next step is for TPS auto set must be done on a brand new system. Otherwise, injectors and ignition will not be fired by ECU. TPS auto set programs ECU full advantage. This must be done vehicle ignition power on. TPS auto function in the Wizards under home screen. So I'm going to go back to Wizards. TPS auto set. Ignition is on. Engine's not started. Start. Slowly press the pedal to the floor. Then slowly release. Do this twice. Next. TPS auto set was successful. Done. All right, monitor. And shut down. Battery and volts. Sensors. GPS. RPM. 2. Where's my oil pressure? Which one has oil pressure on it? Vitals. Oil pressure. Here we go. All right. TPS auto set. Follow the prompts. Ego should be ready to be started. Open the sensor screen. We are running, folks. We are running. We got 38 psi oil pressure. Cold. I don't know if that's good. About what my truck reads. But we are running. Oh, we are running. Smoked a little bit. That's all right. Everything's new.